I want to talk about how I handle deadlines because I do a good job and I think it's a useful thing to think about. The first question that I ask myself, and it's important to ask yourself this question if you have a deadline, is what kind of deadline is it? So the first kind are easy deadlines. They might be irritating, and we'll talk about irritating deadlines in a minute. But if they're easy, I get them done right away. I get it off my plate. The second kind of deadline is a creative deadline. I have a lot of those. I'm blessed to do work that is creative. And I always ask for a deadline, even if my soul colleague, my client, doesn't give me one up front. I ask for one. And I set aside 2 or 3 chunks of time. I make appointments with myself to do the creative work at the time of day or evening that works the best for me to be creative. And that's what I encourage you to do. And I usually do a lot of my creative work is writing. So I do a final revision. And it usually is 2 to 3 days before the deadline. And that's because nothing kills creativity like urgency. So that way, if I decided I want to make it longer or shorter, if I've learned something new that I want to incorporate, I have time. And again, time is a real friend of creativity. And then last, we have irritating deadlines that are not easy. You can't just get them off your plate. And really the way I use is you could call it powering through. I set a date, I keep the date, I do the thing. Obviously, if it takes a second date, I make another date. I get it done. But then I think what's nice about my method is I reward myself because we've done something irritating. So I think we deserve a reward. Life doesn't need to be irritating all the time, but sometimes it is. And so the deadline gets met, and then, we reward ourselves. So thanks very much for listening. I have a YouTube channel. I'll put it in the post here. I have a blog, raisingclarity.com/blog, and I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn.